So just to start, if you could give me your name and then move on to why you've created this project.
So I'm Joshus, and I created this project as a part of my final project for game design. Following the brief that specified I was to create a vertical slice as part of the team and work on my chosen specialism. The vertical slice had to be based off a game idea, which was focused around a first-person narrative driven game, and a vertical slice is a single level from a wider game which is used to assess if the game idea is good and it's a proof of concept.
What was your chosen specialism?
So my chosen specialism is artist. That meant that throughout the game I was working on mainly the environmental art, creating all the 3D meshes and their textures to make the game actually look good, as well as creating the props that we used for some of the mechanics.
What would you say were the biggest influences?
So the game idea that we have is wide-ranging in the style and its visual look. So I drew inspiration from a wide variety of different places and video games. My main influence, however, is Ni no Kuni from Level 5. This was because they used character models which had two-tone shading, which is very similar to our characters in the game, and I liked how their more detailed backgrounds looked in comparison to their characters, as a way of making the characters stand out from the regular world while still having the regular world look interesting. Apart from this, in the later stages of the game, after we decided to redesign our idea to keep it within our scope, my main influences were from real life architecture of what's the word I'm looking for? Of redecorated factories and modern architecture, along with the setting of the bronze from Buffy the Vampire Slayer as a nightclub.
Do you feel that there was sufficient production and time management procedures?
At the start of the project, we had regular team meetings and we had an open stream of dialogue between each other, talking about what we were doing, but this resulted in us overscoping. The main reason for that being that we set deadlines and we set milestones we had to hit, which we didn't meet, and we pushed back thinking that we had more time. The lack of communication throughout the team resulted in us working on things that weren't to standard or that didn't fit together, which meant that when we came to have our playtest, which we did too late into the development process, we realised that we didn't have enough time to fix the design issues that arose from the playtest and the different bugs that we need to fix in like the 3 weeks that we had remaining. So we had to redo our idea, but since then we've had regular meetings still and had a much better communication line, allowing us to work better as a team and less as individuals, resulting in us being able to make the game with only a few weeks left.
You touched on it there, but how would you say the project could have been improved?
The project could have been improved by that. The project could have been improved by having a better line of dialogue between the different members of the team. There was areas which we wasted time on because we weren't working coherently together, which meant there was designs that weren't up to scratch, and there was bugs in the game which were left in way too long, as well as us not being open with each other about the struggles we were having on the day-to-day basis. In the early parts of the game I was mainly focused on just doing the art side of it, but then after we realised that redesign was necessary and a scaling back was taking place, I got to work on designing the main bar room along with my team. Doing so, I was able to implement some of the lessons that I'd learned over the project in making the level visually interesting and helping to make the game look better, which also then informed my ability to create the models, since I was the one who was helping to design it.
What factors would you say helped or hindered the final game?
So the main hindrance of the project was the fact that there was a lack of leadership within our team. In the early days of the project, I was named as team lead, but we ended up choosing to go and create another member of our team's idea. This meant that while I was trying to organise people one way, Dan was having people come to him with their issues, and there was a conflict between our two leaderships, which resulted in me backing off and becoming less of lead, Dan taking more of that role on, but both of us doing half a job didn't end up with one full lead. So there was an issue with organisation and management throughout the team, and there was ineffective time planning throughout the project due to it, as well as the day-to-day not being as efficient. The other hindrance, I don't have one hindrance.
What lessons have been learnt from this project?
In terms of lessons that have been learned, I've progressed massively in my ability to texture. Up until now, I've mainly been a 3D modeller and then had very rudimentary experience when it comes to texturing, basically only using smart materials and other base texture sets. Whereas in this project, I've experimented more with different techniques, using hand painting textures, taking images online and creating tile textures, and then also taking my use of smart materials to a new level with making continuity throughout models, and then helping to create a consistent visual style throughout the game. I've also improved my ability to level design due to the fact of how I'm more experienced in this project. During our redesign, I've learned how to deal with how to effectively direct a player throughout a narrative using the level, and then using visual interest to help direct the player as well. I've also learned more about colour theory in this project and how colours can have different effects and how to guide players, as well as create feelings and effects within the player.